Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of UBU Yoga. Last week, Erin and I demonstrated for you guys downward facing dog. Today, we're going to show you guys a fun transition with downward facing dog going into plank. So, let's get started. Hi, Erin.
Hey, Annie. This transition from down dog into plank is one that's used commonly in a practice, so it's nice to have a
Yeah.
chance to talk about cues, talk about any modifications, and kind of play around with going, into it and out of it, working on that strength of core, wrists, because really it works everything you got.
Oh, it sure does. I can't
All
wait
right.
to get started.
All right. So before we really hop into it, I thought we would stretch out the wrists a little bit. We've talked about this before, but a common complaint that students have, myself included, is that it can be very taxing to be on the wrist for a good portion of a practice. So these stretches that we're going to demonstrate for you are ones that I've done as a student in class and that I've also taught. So let's start by
Great.
coming into table.
Okay.
Shift forward here a little bit. So just a quick cue or two in our table here. Just make sure that your shoulders are over your wrists, that your hips are over your knees. Beautiful. And that your fingers are pointed toward the top of your mat. Okay. Let's just start by taking a nice breath in here through the nose and out through the nose. Good. Keeping your left hand right where it is, we're going to turn our right hand towards the side of our mat. Good. And then we'll do the same thing with the left hand. So fingers on both hands should be pointed towards the sides of your mat. So we're doing a bit of a stretch here in the wrists. But if you're not really feeling anything, Annie, or you maybe have space for a little bit more, you can begin to shift your weight, your shoulders over towards the right fingers and then over to the left.
That actually feels really good.
Yeah, and the key is to move slowly. While it may not look like you're doing too much, you're doing quite a lot. So feel free to find that movement, coming over to each side a couple times. And when you're ready, just coming back to center. Nice. And because we've already done a lot there with the wrist, you may be really feeling it. Let's just turn our fingers towards the top of the mat, just to get a little bit of a release and a little bit of a relief. Good. And then we're going to take it a little bit further here, okay? So we're going to start by leaving the left hand right where it is, turning that right hand to the side, just as before. And then we're going to continue to turn the hand so that the fingers are pointed towards the knees. Okay, taking it as far as you feel comfortable taking it. Okay, this, this is a lot right here. But again, if you would like a little more, Annie, feel free to bring your hips back towards your heels.
Oh, yeah. I can feel that working.
And the key is to, obviously breathe here. Sometimes when something feels uncomfortable, we tend to hold our breath, which obviously serves no purpose. And when you've had quite enough of that, you can bring your hips back to neutral and then just slowly turn the right hand so the fingers are pointed toward the top of your mat. Good. And then we'll do the same work on the other side, beginning to turn the left hand towards the side of the mat and then letting the hands come towards the back of the mat. Okay, and then shifting the hips towards your heels feels good. Do that. Good. I still hear you breathing. That's a good sign. And then, you have that option to come out of the stretch at any point. So whenever you're ready, you can turn your fingers towards the top of the mat. Good. And then I think the only proper thing to do next is to shift our weight back towards the heels, finding a quick child's pose, walking the hands forward towards the top of the mat, or perhaps towards your heels, letting those wrists rest. You also have the option of making circles in your wrists if that feels comfortable from the pose that you're currently in. How you doing, Annie?
Yeah, it feels good.
All
Really
right, good.
good.
So we've got you all ready now.
Uh-oh.
I know that didn't sound very good. What I'd like to do though is to have you, when you're ready, to come into your table. Good. And you all might have noticed that Annie has a blanket supporting her feet here. She is a woman who loves her props.
Oh, I love my blankies.
Good. So from here, Annie, when you're ready, I'm going to have you find your downward facing dog. So pressing into your hands, lifting your hips up towards the sky. And I love how you made that little adjustment here by walking your hands forward. I tend to do that very same thing. Take a few breaths here once you have your pose, drawing that forehead towards your thighs. Annie, I'm going to have you just bend your knees just a little bit and see if you can't draw your forehead even closer toward your thighs. Looks fantastic. How does that feel?
Good.
Good. You look amazing.
Yeah. The bend definitely helps.
Yeah, and especially since this might be your first one, your first downward dog of the day, really having like an exaggerated bend in the knees can be very helpful. So from here, I'm going to have you shift into your plank by beginning to bring your weight forward. Good. So you'll notice that Annie has her shoulders over her wrists. She's got her ankles over her toes, her beautifully painted toes. And she's looking down at her mat right between her thumbs. Her navel is drawn in towards the spine. And what you might also be noticing is that she has this very natural curve to her back. Very often that's called a mountain spine. And so she's got this natural curve that she's honoring here in this pose. So if she were standing right now, that is how her back would look. Beautiful. And again, I hear you breathing. I love it. I love it.
I'm breathing, and not blue yet.
No, oh God, no. Blue is a beautiful color, but not in this pose. So from here, Annie, I'd love for you to show us just how strong you are by making any adjustments that you need to come back into your downward facing dog. So she walked her hands a little bit. Do you need any adjustments, Annie, with your feet?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, that looks good. I see you pressing. Oh, I even see that generous bend that you invited back into your pose. That's great. Good. Take a deep breath in and out. Take another deep breath in. And this time, on your exhale, can you shift into your plank pose for us once more?
I think so.
Good. And again, engaging that core. Taking a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Good. And then I'm going to have you come into your downward facing dog one final time. When you're ready to come out of this pose, I'm going to invite you to drop your knees toward your mat. Keeping your hands where they are or walking them back for another rest, the child's pose. So, Annie, are you okay if I steal your blanket for a moment?
Yes.
Okay. Because what I really want you to do, especially after all of that hard work, my love, is to rest that head of yours.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that feels
good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, remember that child's
Thank
pose,
you.
especially when you've done all that work, is a pose
this feels so good.
to ease into. Good.
I think I'm melting.
And then, when you're ready to come out of the pose,
I'm not ready.
You can come and find your seat. Hey, as I always say to everybody, there is absolutely no rush. Yoga happens on your time.
It's Sunday sleepy time. I'm not ready. Ooh. Oh, that felt really good.
Good.
Really good.
Yeah, and so today, we didn't have a lot of props, or I know you didn't need a lot of props for this. So the one that you had served two purposes. You had it for your feet and your downward facing dog and your plank, and also, kindly enough, you had it for your forehead in that final child's pose. But I am curious about wrists. How are your wrists feeling? Because you were in and out of poses, that transition so beautiful, so smooth. How are the wrists?
The wrists actually feel really great. I think those warm ups that we did in the beginning of the video really helped set the stage for loosening everything up. And I was also trying to maintain my focus as to where I was shifting my energy in the wrist because, as you guys can tell, as I was transitioning through the poses, I'm putting an awful lot of weight on the wrist, right? So it's really important that we're being mindful and we're thinking about what we're doing while we're doing it. Yes, but that actually felt great. It was a lot of fun. I always enjoy doing transitional poses like that where we can really demonstrate our strength.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think, um, you know, yoga should have a fluidity to it, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to get just sweaty, but there's such a flow that you can create with your body, right? Like once you know poses, and it was nice really to see you move back and forth through your downward facing dog and your plank. And what I also like about that transition is not only is it common to practice,
Mm-hmm.
but you are building strength, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
sometimes when I haven't
Yeah.
practiced for a while, doing that transition gets my arms fired up, gets my legs fired up, and gets that core working and
Oh,
reminds
yeah.
me like it's working everything. And it's just beautiful to see in
And
action.
while we're sitting here now, like I can feel my shoulders are on fire, my arms are on fire. I feel a nice stretch in the back of my legs. Like everything feels like I just woke everything up today. So that felt really great.
Wonderful.
So thank you for an awesome little demonstration class.
Thank you for being such a beautiful model.
Oh, you're very welcome. So we encourage you guys to have fun with this transition. Please give it a shot. And if you need some additional tips on downward facing dog, feel free to go back to our encyclopedia worth of videos where we have downward there. We have some modifications, and we just want to encourage you guys to have fun. We love you. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.